You have entered into the black hole of real estate, a place for industry news, tips, and strategies. Once you enter into our vortex, even if you could leave, you're probably going to want to stick around. I'm your host, Ron Weiss-Sakarski, and you are now entering the black hole of real estate. Well, I am pumped up to be back and bringing you a couple of things this week that really have my attention. I want to talk about the insurance in the state of Florida through Citizens and what's going on with the rate hike and why it might be a little bit different than you were expecting if you're in Florida. Zillow, it's always out there, and they ruffled a few feathers with the agent community recently, and we want to talk about that. And new construction. It's such a big thing right now in Florida, and I wanted to just put some consumer tips out there just to give you a better idea if you were thinking of going into new construction. A few things that you might want to navigate to make sure you get the right price and the right representation. And maybe we'll just start off with talking about home prices rising at their fastest pace in more than 6 years. And this is a CoreLogic survey, and what they're saying is buyer demand is pushed on pricing in the month of November and towards the end of the year, 9% higher in the year to year, the biggest increase since 2014. And for 2020, overall, the price increase has hit a 14-year high. So if you felt like prices were going up, there's a lot of data out there that shows it and is likely to continue. We are still at historically low inventory rates. I don't see what's going to change that. I mean, if you looked at the Daytona Beach market just as a snapshot of what's going on, the inventory in December was 60% of what it was the year before. So year over down 40%. And the year before was down quite a bit too. So over the last few years, we've seen just the inventory just continue to drop and drop and drop. And now it really would take a massive influsion to start to balance out the market between sellers and buyers. And I mean, I got to say, for the last couple thousand homes that didn't sell, well, I guess those people would have to ask themselves, how did I not sell in the hottest market pretty much ever? Probably price and condition on those, but right now we see new properties coming on the market and they're getting snatched up super fast. So we're not gaining much ground as far as the number of homes available, but maybe that will switch. There's optimism over the vaccine, and the dichotomy now is that buyers are very willing to go into somebody else's property, but hesitant to put their home in the market where people walk through theirs. Maybe the vaccine will help out with that as we start to balance out COVID. The other side of the coin is that so many sellers are hesitant to go on the market simply because they realize that they might sell quickly and have very little to choose from and feel pressure. And I doubt that many people want to make a move and get their, second or third choice might be one thing, but their 10th best choice, or just simply not find a suitable home and go from a homeowner to a renter. That's not a good option for a lot of people. So again, it's going to take a push and a shove to get the inventory back up to a more sustainable level. But right now, hey, it's what we live with. It's what we work with. And speaking of inventory, if you are looking to make that purchase and you happen to be in an area where wind, storm, and flood insurance comes into play, we know in Florida, Citizens Insurance is the coverage you go to when none of the other carriers will basically cover anything. And so what they're saying is they were projecting a 3.7% rate hike, except for now it's over 7%. They're looking at 7.2%. They're throwing a lot of percents around there. They're trying to explain that the average homeowner might see an increase of 6%, but I can tell you my property, it was more than that. And I don't think that's going to change. I mean, insurance is just based on risk. And they've had to pay out a lot. And I'm just here to tell you, insurance companies do not like to pay out. So the only way to offset those losses is through a premium increase. And that's really being felt across the board. I can see it on a daily basis where clients of ours have called in for new insurance quotes or new companies because maybe they've been dropped. If you have solid insurance in place, they may not tell you this, but sure seems to be true. As you start poking around your insurance policy and letting them know about, I'd like to
add a pool or add this, or I'm going to be moving out and get a renter's policy, sometimes you're almost raising your hand asking them to, hey, maybe you want to cancel us or not renew us, I think is what they say. We're not canceling you, we're just not renewing you. And that pushes you towards Citizens as well for the insurance. I would just say this. If your insurance went up, welcome to the club. Everybody's insurance is going up this year. And before you make a hasty decision to switch companies, I would probably quietly weigh your options before making a bold move. And that's not me telling you what to do. It's just I'm seeing it. So I would just tread a little bit lightly on that piece over the insurance. Um, Zillow, yeah. So we all know that Zillow is a brokerage. And shocker, we knew it was coming and it's here. Along the way, they have switched from syndication, which is getting all the leads forwarded to their website, and now they use the IDX search that most agents use to populate their consumer-facing websites. So now Zillow is going to be a lot more accurate as far as the properties available. But along the way, a lot of the realtors that have invested in getting the leads back on their own listings through Zillow, well, funny thing happened along the way to making the switch. The past sales on the agents' profiles, which are helping them compete among other agents for that ad spend and to make them look good online, well, all the past sales disappeared. And that probably wasn't a good thing. And a lot of angry agents that have been feeding Zillow over the years suddenly saw all their sales disappear. So could you imagine going from 1,000 sales down to about 50 sales as an agent or a team? Well, that stuff kind of happened. And Zillow, they said they were diligently working on a solution. And, they may or may not have known this was going to happen, but let's face it, if you make that much change to the infrastructure and the way you put properties on a website, something was bound to happen. This is probably one of the worst possible outcomes for Zillow as well as the agents. I mean, let's face it, Zillow probably didn't want let's say, a bazillion phone calls coming in that where did my past sales go? Probably wasn't good for their business. And it believes that during this migration, some things were going to fall out. That was one of them. They seem to adjust it. They're saying that they addressed it. There was a pretty rocky period up until around the 25th or 26th of January, and it seems like that's going in the right direction right now. But that, in a nutshell, was messy. So one more reason for people to get angry with Zillow. We don't have to hate Zillow. We can get a little frustrated. But if you invest in a company that makes big moves like that, nothing is smooth 365 days out of the year. Let's just call it like we see it. So there's low inventory. You're frustrated. You can't find the house that you want, or you're seeing prices that are so high. You're thinking, well, geez, maybe I'll just build my own house. And maybe you've gone the route of looking for raw land and trying to attract a builder. And maybe you eventually got into a new home site and you found something that you liked. Fantastic. And when you walk in there and see the smiling agent in there, they work for the developer. They work for the real estate company. So they represent the seller. Now they can also represent you. And they're likely to do the right thing, but they're hired by the seller of the property. So the most they can do is play it fair down the middle. And you may benefit from having your own broker, your own agent representing you that's outside of the builder field. And that doesn't mean they're not great agents that are helping out with the builder. They're extremely knowledgeable. They just, I don't want to call it a competing agenda. They just have to be neutral. And you might want personal representation from somebody that only has your interests at heart. There's no playing it down the middle, which is what the requirement is to represent both sides. And again, it's done very well. It's not a complaint, but if you really want your own representation, what would you be looking for? Well, when you purchase new construction, there's usually a few variables that might be apt to negotiation in a neutral market. Right now, if you're in a hot subdivision, the first thing you're going to come across is a lot premium. And based on whether it's backing up to a different home site, backing up to a preserve, backing up to water, let's say, or a cul-de-sac, there's going to be a different premium attached to that lot in addition to the cost of the build. So if your build, and let's use a big number for a change, it was $500. Your lot premium might be $25,000, $35,000, $50,000 on top of that, and then you've still got to go to the design center and pick out your options and choices. So it could really add up. So one of the things that you can attempt to negotiate is lot premium. But if you're in a hot subdivision or there's only a few lots of left, you're not likely to be able to negotiate much as far as lot premium. Now, another thing that they're going to talk about is the elevation piece, and what that is the front of the house. So there could be a base model that has no upcharge to it. There could be like a middle ground that could be 5 or 10,000 more, and then a really, a perceived nicer one for $10,000 to $20,000 more. So the same house could have a lot premium, and for the elevation, there's also some additional charges. Some of the smaller neighborhoods that want to avoid that cookie cutter comment that we heard so much in the early 2000s, if they have 5 or 6 models, they could use the every two rule, which means if you pick a certain model, the next one could not be for at least 2 houses away or across the street. And they're really spreading it out so that you don't have the identical houses side by side anymore. And then with that, only a certain amount can have elevation 1. Some others will have elevation 2, and then finally elevation 3. So that will also differentiate the home. So the floor plan and then the elevation will make the neighborhood look different. So if there's 50, 60 homes there, you wouldn't necessarily find the same model with the same elevation, and if you did, maybe just once or twice as opposed to numerous times. So you may be able to negotiate on lot premium. You may be able to negotiate with the elevation, possibly get some appliances included. They may give you an allowance towards it, or they could have a certain brand of appliances that come standard with the house, and then you may still have to purchase your, let's say, washer, dryer, and refrigerator. They may not be included in the base package. So if you like a certain brand, you can't switch out what comes with it, but you could switch it to a different brand for the refrigerator, the washer, the dryer, things like that. If you want to match that, then you'll at least know what it is going in. Sometimes they have an allowance towards appliances. Otherwise, it's fixed. Then you pay for the rest. Hey, we've talked about gutters a few times on this show, and gutters are not included. So make sure that you're aware that that's going to happen. What's interesting is sometimes you've got a concrete driveway. Some come standard with paver driveway, which is a huge upcharge. So at times you feel like you're getting nickeled and dined, but then there's something that would cost you a fortune is actually included in the price of the home. So that's not too bad. But we've talked about lot premium. We've talked about the elevation. We've talked about possible appliance allowance. You may get a credit to the design center or some of your upgrades, or maybe not. Again, it depends on the build and the builder and the scarcity there. Short of that, about the only other discounts I can really project out there as possible are if you use their lender and not your own lender, your preferred lender, let's say. Many of the builders will offer, $5,000 or so to use their lender towards your closing costs. So that could be an additional savings. I would make sure that somewhere in the conversation, if you're a veteran or a first responder, that you bring that up, or some affiliation or teachers. They're not compelled to give you opportunities for discounts. Sometimes there's some wiggle room in there, and if you don't ask for it and you don't push a little bit for it, you may not get that. So when you're negotiating and you're using the builder's agent, they're not required to tell you if there's, hey, by the way, there's an incentive over here that the builder sometimes offers. They're not required to tell you that. And if you're happy with the build and the price, then you may just go through life not knowing what you might have missed out on. And if you have representation, a different agent who's only loyal to you and has no other fiduciary responsibility can push the needle on some of these discounts to help you negotiate the best possible price without losing the lot and the home that you really want. So the new construction game, it's out there. It's alive and well. It's what a lot of people are moving to right now. I would just put the option out there if you're a strong negotiator and you feel you don't need an agent. Hey, no more power to you. If you are looking for a agent that has done this and is experienced and is really seeking out your best interests, you may consider that route as well. Keeping in mind that a build could take 6 to 9 months. Do you have the capacity to follow up with that on a consistent basis? The value of your agent may come into play to help you out. And that's just a little bit about new construction. I want to spend some time on that because so many people are going towards that. I've gotten a lot of questions about it, and I thought it would be an important time to bring that to the forefront. In the meantime, I'm just enjoying bringing the news to you. If you've got any comments, let us know. Click below. Definitely subscribe so we can keep bringing this for you. And we look forward to your feedback. It's Ron Wojciechowski for the Black Hole of Real Estate.